Hi, today we're going to talk about the evidence supporting alien interaction among humans and the different supporting evidence behind that. So first we're going to talk about some information from the Unacknowledged documentary, which is on Netflix, and it came out in 2017. The main speaker in this is Dr. Stephen Greer, who actually isn't a scientist or really has anything to do with science. He is a medical doctor. He worked in an ER, and he had a experience when he was young where he believes that he saw a UFO, and from then on that sparked his interest, and now he works with briefing the higher ups in our government about different alien interactions, things like that. He has a quote in the beginning of the movie that says, "One of my biggest disappointments in the last 25 years is the people who lack the courage of their convictions." And what he's talking about there is that there are people in the government who know things about alien life but refuse to speak up for fear of repercussions or being discredited altogether in their fields. The next thing that I'd like to talk about is Roswell, because this is the granddaddy of all events in the recent past of U.S. history. It happened in 1947 in Roswell, New Mexico. So, obviously, we don't know whether this is true or not, but this is what I believe. So, there is a government document stating that 3 bodies of human shape, but only 3 feet tall, dressed in metallic cloth of very fine texture. The man that described this said that it looked like they were not wearing any clothing because it was very tight fitting and very thin. But then they realized he was wearing like a little jumpsuit that was very thin and nothing he'd seen before. The document stating this is the #1 viewed document on the FBI website. This obviously shows me that whether or not this is true, it is a very, very interesting topic to a lot of Americans. A statistic from the National Geographic website says that 1/3 of Americans believes in the possibility of there being extraterrestrials. So that's not a majority, but it's a good percentage. Let's see. First, we're going to talk about the Disclosure Project. Here's a quote from John McCormick, the Speaker of the House, a former Speaker of the House. It says, "I feel that the Air Force has not been giving out all the available information on these unidentified flying objects. You cannot disregard so many unimpeachable sources." So there are government agencies that have been covering these. Since Roswell happened in 1947, there are 9 different programs that have been investigating alien life and alien interaction that we know of. Those are just the ones we know of. And those include Project Blue Book from 1952 to 1969, Project Sin and Grudge from 1948 to 1952, Project Ozma in 1960, University of Colorado UFO Project, which was from 1966 to 1968, 1970s and 1980s, the CIA investigations of paranormal and psychic phenomena, and there are also more, but the most popular ones are the Roswell, which was Project Mogul, and Project Blue Book. Now, this is just some logic on my part. If there is no evidence of this happening, why is our government spending so much money and time investigating it? And there was just an instance here in the last month or so where they discovered that they were investigating UFOs from 2007 until 2012, and they seem to close these projects down and just start a new one. So we never know what exactly they're working on at any given time. The Project Blue Book, these are all very top secret projects, so we don't 100% know what all happened during them. They're going to release documents that, you know, give us a little itty bitty bit to satisfy us, and then they're going to go on with what they're doing and continue to do it, open up new projects. So the number one thing to me that is supporting evidence of extraterrestrial visitation is crop circles. I don't know if you've ever seen a photograph of a crop circle. People like to say, no, humans just create these to be silly, and that's not real. Well, when we look at the difference from a man-made crop circle, the crop circle is choppy, and there was an instance where a group of college kids went out, spent 24 hours in a group, and it was organized and planned, and this entire time these college students were doing this. It took 24 hours to complete this crop circle. It was still choppy and didn't look perfect or uniform or completely symmetrical, but when you look at a picture of a real crop circle or ones that have been found, they look perfectly symmetrical, and they have beautiful designs, and they're very, very interesting. So I'm going to pull up one of these crop circles, and I'll show you what a crop circle looks like. All right, so like I said, the crop circles that happen, they're perfectly symmetrical, very intricate, and people go to bed, they wake up the next morning, they never heard any sound of heavy machinery, and they say that the plants aren't broken off, but rather they're in a circular pattern, just laying flat against the ground. They're not broken. So, for instance, let's look at this one. These perfectly symmetrical, and you can kind of see it there, where it's in a circular pattern. A circular pattern like this. Do you know of any equipment that can do that? Because I certainly don't. They're just very interesting because everything is lined up perfectly. There's these tiny little dots on the outside, these big ones on the inside, and this is one thing that is, if it's not alien life, it's very intriguing to me. Who does this? Who can do this in one night without heavy machinery, nobody hearing what's going on, and then they just wake up the next day and it's there? A lot of these tend to happen near Stonehenge in England, and that has long time been a question for lots of people who are kind of into conspiracy theories, is what happens to how did Stonehenge even get made? So that's an interesting thing to me as well. Let's see if we can find one here that looks more man-made. Like this one. This is obviously a swastika, and it is not the most appropriate design. But if you can look there, you can't see the details. But see, it's not intricate. It's this circle and this circle are different. that all of the grass is moved in a different way. It's not circle all the way around and perfect. So those are some things that I would like my fellow classmates to ponder. You know, if there aren't UFOs and aliens, and this is not a thing, why is the government hiding it from us? Because it just came out in the news that they had a project that they said that they discontinued before that was still going in 2012, and they probably still have one now. And the evidence supporting it is, you can either take it or leave it, but what's the reasoning behind it? So thank you for your time. Thanks for watching. Have a great night.